Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen said last month that America's economic progress over the past century has been fueled in large part by the advent of women in the workforce. Quote, making fuller use of the talents and efforts of women in the workplace has made us more productive and prosperous. I would hope that our nation continues to reap the benefits of greater participation by women in the economy and that we do everything that we can to foster that participation. Members, we're here today with the Women's Economic Security Act to do what we can to foster the women's participation in the workforce. I wanted to give you just a little background before I turn to the various authors of this package of 9 bills. There are 3 major economic, demographic, and social trends that are converging to create a new normal that makes the provisions in this package essential. The earnings of women in Minnesota are increasingly important to their families' well-being. 50% of the state's working mothers are now a primary breadwinner for their family. As the sole earner or earning more than a spouse, Minnesota leads the nation in women's workforce participation. Women here, even more than in other places in the country, are integral and essential contributors to our productivity as a state. Second, our population is aging, and care for the elderly is moving out of institutions and back into our homes, increasing the demands for unpaid caregiving. And third, workers are staying in the workforce longer. That means fewer and fewer women available to continue the often unrecognized and undervalued unpaid caregiving that keeps many families functioning. These combined trends are putting incredible stress on our families, and unfortunately, women are bearing a significant part of the burden, expected to and trying mightily to continue as primary caregivers in our society and in our families, as well as serve increasingly as primary breadwinners.
I will be casting a yes vote. I think it will help us get more women in high-paying, high-demand jobs, remove some of the barriers. I think that's important, and more importantly, we need a strong Senate position on this critical issue for our economic environment.
I had a 20-year career in business, and I remembered at various times in my life having to negotiate with CEOs so that I could have flexibility and meet my kids after the school bus without giving up a very, lucrative job that I really valued. I was always fortunate to be able to prevail in those negotiations, but I know that is not the case for every woman. And so passing this bill here today is a stand for the potential of women and our future.
As a matter of fact, our Minnesota employers are well known across the country for how well they treat their employees, all employees, in regards to making accommodations for them. Some of those are in this bill today, but let's remember the large majority of our employers are already doing many of these on their own, my goodness, without a state law. Yes, that's because we have good employers, and they understand that having employees that are exceptional, that are well qualified, and making flexible accommodations are very important to the retention of those employees. And so in many cases, the market itself has been able to attract women, keep women, and have already made many of these reasonable accommodations.
I will not stand here and vote for a bill that promotes one gender over another. If you work hard, if you compete better than others, you will find greater opportunities, whether you're a man or a woman. I believe the best way to help men and women in the workplace is to make sure we have a competitive business climate. Work hard and play fair. We need to be careful we are not overly burdening our employers or our small businesses.
I think of my mom as a very poor from Princeton, Minnesota. She was the butcher's daughter, one of 6 kids. She went to school, she got her teaching certificate, and then the war happened. And she went to war just like the men. And she joined the Red Cross, and she served in the Battle of the Bulge and the Forest of Aachen. And then she came home and she finished her degree at the University of Minnesota. And it wasn't easy because it was during the Depression and they had nothing. But still, she prevailed, and she never looked to the government to give her a handout. And she was a very successful educator. And she kept learning her whole life, and at age 67, on her bucket list was her master's degree, and she got it from the University of Bemidji because she never stopped, and she never took a handout for the government. And I will tell you, she never looked to the government for her success. And this bill sends the wrong message to our women because it says you cannot be successful unless we help you.
There being 51 ayes and 14 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.